The Olympics are extraordinary. People from more than 200 countries around the world come together and participate in a sporting event that includes all the best people in all of those different sports. And it's an opportunity to experience the diversity of this world. 76 being my first games and the first time that Canadian athletes could march into the stadium to a home crowd. The path was lined with fans, with Canadian flags, and as we got to the stadium you could start to hear the music. Then you go under the stadium into the dark, and as the Canadian flag came out into that light, this roar went up. And it continued for our entire walk around the stadium. Montreal in 1976 did start the idea that we could host such a games and that we were a sporting nation. The second games in Canada were in Calgary in 1988, and an extraordinary games in terms of the engagement of the city and the legacy that it left to the Olympic movement, a legacy that the Vancouver 2010 games certainly built upon. They realized that although we could be great hosts, have a wonderful games, the games wouldn't be a true success unless our athletes were successful. So coming out of that idea that, look, we've had the games twice and we've never won a gold medal on home soil, the Vancouver Organizing Committee decided that it was part of their mandate too to make sure that the athletes were properly supported and funded. The 2010 games in Vancouver were the most successful games that we've ever held. I remember prior to the games, John Furlong saying, these games will change the country, and I thought, well, how's that going to happen? But it really did. The legacies that were left for sport and the legacy that was left in terms of support for athletes in our country, and the 14 gold medals certainly inspired Canadians like nothing else. Some of the challenges were just making it Canada's games and making sure that everyone was included. That included our First Nations, that included the provinces, the cities. The very obvious challenge was this tremendous weather. We had this beautiful February, so the snow was all melting, and bringing in snow from the local parks by helicopter, and that was a huge challenge. One of the highlights for me was seeing Alexander's medal, because we were up at Cyprus and everyone was pounding their feet on the stands, and up at the top it felt like the mountain was moving. That was an extraordinary moment, and of course the first gold medal for Canada on home soil too, so it was really, really magic. And the team just carried on from there, and Joannie Rochette, performing as she did with the challenges that she had in her life, and then our speed skating team, and hockey, of course, the women and the men. 2 teams winning gold medals. Everyone I know has had an Olympic experience, and a positive one. And the games were so well run with the 14 gold medals, that number of medals, never won before by host country. But it was the people and the atmosphere in this city. The Vancouver 2010 Olympic and Paralympic Games were the first to host a Pride House, and that's something that we're all really proud of. It's pretty easy for Canadians to espouse the Olympic ideals. It's about respect and friendship and fairness and those things. It's who we are as Canadians. My name is Tricia Smith. I am an Olympian and president of the Canadian Olympic Committee. I believe the Olympic spirit is Canada.